Welcome back, Barbarians. We're back again with another Barbarian. And this time, I get to introduce you to my friend, Michelle Jackson. What I'm really excited about, guys, as you know, we've been working very, very hard to bring you guys men and women that have a killer mindset. And when I say killer, it's not for all you soft at heart people that are like, oh, violence. Da, 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 da. No, killer like go get what you want out of life. Take no prisoners and crush everything on the other side of the door. And this woman right here, Michelle, is a prime example of that. She was introduced to me by a mutual friend who you guys know is Luke Jackson, the man, amphibious Spartan. And I'm really, really excited to get into your story, Michelle. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
I gotta say, we were talking just a minute ago offline. I just want the audience to hear this. Like, it's pretty badass to see what you've accomplished in your life. And we'll dive in, but bodybuilding, fucking flying Blackhawks, single mom. I mean, you are the definition of a warrior. And I just want you to know, when I see you, I respect you. And I respect everything that you've accomplished and everything that you've done. And I want it to be stated here for the record, if you will. So
thank you very much. I don't really feel like I've done anything impressive, but thanks.
Do any of us, though? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's true.
So before we dive in, I want to take a second to talk about our friends at Alpha Country. I know you've used their stuff before as well. Alpha Country is going to help bring this show to our audience today. Please check out Alpha Country Training and Nutrition. What they've done is Spencer is a former 7th Group guy, and he has created a product that he believes in and stands by. Essentially, what they do is they offer training programs and nutrition programs, quality gear like this beautiful crimson red hoodie that I am wearing, and they make supplements. So I'd like to check out their Bangalore. If you want to start with something, it's a nootropic pre-workout. It doesn't make my face itch. The flavor is incredible. And once it sets in, I'm ready to work in the gym. Like, I put in work with that. So please check out our friends at Alpha Country Training and Nutrition, and just at the very least, go take a look at what they got going on, support that community and what they're about, because they're helping us bring stories like Michelle's to you. But I'll digress. Yes, please.
So I use their stuff too. And I've used a lot. Like, every coach I have wants me to try a different protein powder, a different pre-workout. And that, by far, Alpha Country stuff is quality, number one, and the taste, it's actually true to taste. It's not like you're getting this chalky protein powder. Like, they do a great job, and I totally respect Spencer and MJ. They are killing it. So support them, please. They're amazing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. And their greens and their reds, I was way caught off guard by. Everybody thinks that their greens and their reds are good, but these guys' greens and reds were actually good. Right? Like, so I was impressed. It's kind of like that kiwi lime greens is like a citrus punch. I don't even know how to explain it, but yeah. Michelle, we're here to talk about you.
We're here.
Let's dive in. Tell us about you.
Me. Okay. I don't know how far back we're going to go, but so came into the Army at 26, was a paralegal. Very weird transition here, so just hang on with me. I love law. My bachelor's degree is in law. I find it super interesting. But law inside the military is it's eye-opening, because you are faced with a lot of really, really difficult cases very quickly. So I don't know if you want to talk about that, but we'll dive into that maybe later. I went to the 82nd Cab as a paralegal, and I'd always wanted to be a pilot from like the time I was 4 or 5. We used to watch Top Gun with my family. Still watch Top Gun all the time. Favorite movie, both of them amazing. But I never thought I could be one. I thought it was too difficult. I'm a woman, my family's very traditional. So I was filled with all these ideas that okay, you can't do this. Find something where you fit in. Came into the military, went to the 82nd Cab, met some pilots, no offense to them, realized I was plenty smart enough to become a pilot, and applied. And I got selected to go chase my dream. And I did that for quite a while. I miss it desperately. Went through some personal issues, which I do want to talk about eventually. Got out, have 3 kids, currently work as a business leader at Goodyear, and I'm getting my MBA right now in bodybuilding. So it's a busy, busy life.
A busy life at that. And
Yeah.
let's dive into the paralegal thing just a little bit. One, I think it's cool. What I heard there is you let your curiosity drive your ambition, and I love that. I do, because how many? Oh boy, here we go already. We're diving in, Michelle. How many people? How many people out there right now suffer from inaction? You know what I mean? Because I mean, like, it is killing our culture right now. I mean, it is absolutely killing our culture. The men and women out there that are just doing their job 9 to 5, just surviving because they're terrified to try, terrified to go and just taste what that curiosity is. Like, try to satisfy people. You need desperately to go and explore the things that make you curious and see. There's none of that is random. I personally don't believe that we've got there. We've got these things or these ambitions, these passions in our heart. I don't believe that's there randomly. I just don't. Now, you've heard.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry to
go ahead.
interrupt.
No, go. Yeah.
It breaks my heart because everyone is so afraid of failure. They think failure is the end. Well, if I fail, it's embarrassing. Or if I fail, like, what am I going to tell my family? Or what am I going to do about my kids? You know, like, I love failure. And I know that sounds so weird, but I love it because even playing sports in high school, like, I kind of adapted this mentality that I can still win when I lose. Because if I lose and I learn something from that loss and I take what I learned and I add it to the next time I try, no matter if I lose the next time and I continue losing, if I continue to grow, I'm winning and I'm eventually going to get to where I want to be. So I've lost a ton. I've failed a ton. I've been left a ton. And every single time I'm like, all right, what was my role in it? What responsibility did I have in it? Where can I improve? Essentially, you're doing an AAR for your life. And like, I know like that's so military, like ingrained in me, but I think it's perfect for everyone's lives because if you really take the time to, even at the end of your day, what happened today? Did I control my emotions? How did I influence my children? Was it positive? Was it negative? Okay, well, what can I do for tomorrow to improve? Every single day, you're just going to get better. And I think that's the end goal. And that's why people don't try. They're so afraid that they're going to fail. And thankfully, I failed early and I learned that it's really not that big of a deal. And I won from it. So that's all I want to say is, like, don't be afraid to try something. Who cares if it's put in your heart, it's put in your heart for a reason. Like, I read that, obviously, so I'm strong in my faith. But, like, I feel like we all have a purpose and we have to find our purpose. And you're not going to find it by not trying.
Never. So that's another thing. Like, this is where, like, I believe in God as well. Like, I'll just straight out. I believe in God. I believe that we're not here randomly. I believe that we're all created for a greater good. And I'm honestly, I'm personally on a journey right now to figure out what that is. I'm a little bit of I got a little bit of vigor to me about it. I'm a little bit more of a charismatic version, but that just comes from a place of absolute love and passion. Like, I'm passionate to find out what it is I was sent here for, right? And more importantly, I'm passionate to see other people realize that those passions that they have mean something and do something with that, right?
It sounds like you just passion and purpose.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying. I'm exploring it by doing this show, right? Like, this is a little way to try to. I'm exploring that. But what I want people to understand is about you is you. Going back to what you just said about failure, I was just recording an episode last night with a gentleman, and we talked about literally this. And I'm gonna beat this horse till it's dead 17,000 times. I don't care, because failure is feedback. That's all it is. It's instant feedback. And if you could trick your mind to understand that failure is not period, the end, but instead rather comma, and if you can understand that, if you can turn failure into a comma instead of a period, so where it becomes now a run-on sentence, you are unstoppable. It is literally the fastest form of feedback that you could ever receive. If you go and you attempt something and it doesn't work out, that is instantaneously lets you know where you are.
Right. I think the thing about feedback, no matter good or bad, honestly, is it can be uncomfortable, right? And people don't like to be uncomfortable because we're, like you said, like our society has changed its mindset to, oh no, I need to be comfortable. I need to be happy all the time. Well, life isn't like that. And if you want to grow, growth is not comfortable. Go to the gym for one day and tell me if that's comfortable. But you're growing, you're getting better. So if you want to stay in this comfortable mindset, you are never going to achieve anything monumental in your life. And monumental doesn't mean I'm going to have millions and millions of dollars. Monumental doesn't mean I'm going to be the most famous person in the world. My monumental means my kids are going to grow up and see that I did everything in my power to give them what two parents could as one parent, and that I love them more than anything in the entire world. And if you can adjust the way you think about your life to what is important to me, what is truly important to me, then I think you can achieve anything in the world just by understanding it's not going to be comfortable, but every single step is going to be worth it. Every single step.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
Sorry.
No, hey, listen, I told you we're about to dive in. These people don't even realize. This is why I wanted you on this show. I mean, to full transparency, this is what women need to hear. I could say it till I'm blue in the face, but it's going to mean something different coming from you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. But let's dive into your story here. So we're going to back up to, you went to school and got into legal because that was a passion of yours. And so you explored that and took that into the military as an officer right out of the gate. No.
So I did not have a degree. I didn't get my bachelor's degree until last summer. I finished my bachelor's degree. So I had my oldest child. She's 16 now, but she was 18 months. I won't go into that part of my past just because her dad is very involved with her. Great guy. But we had a rough relationship. So I joined the military to kind of take care of everybody. And it was not something, I'll be honest, that I wanted to do. I did not want to go in the military. So I went in and I absolutely fell in love with it. Corny or not, I love the discipline. I love the impact you could have as any rank, as a leader. I love being involved in people's lives and seeing people change in their growth, like seeing someone come to you that really had no idea, an 18-year-old kid out of high school, I was 26, come in with lost, essentially, just looking for a path, and then trying to help them guide them and grow as an NCO. Like that was, I'll be honest, I think that job was probably way better than as being a warrant officer. Now, not being a pilot, but being a warrant officer, because you really did have firsthand impact on people. So I went into the legal world. It was a lot messier than I thought it was going to be. You know, I watched Law and Order SVU and I was like, ooh, this stuff is so cool. Like, I'm going to do this. But the military has a lot of problems. There's a lot of stuff that we don't, obviously it's not broadcasted for everyone to see, but there's a lot of issues, and it got heavy. And that's when I started looking. Well, after I came to that 82nd Cab, I was like, what else is there? What's next for me? I was E6 at the time. I made E6 really, really quick. And I met a couple pilots, and that part became my path.
Yeah. So what was that? How fast did you accelerate to staff sergeant?
I made E5 in 2 years, staff sergeant in 4. And then I put in my packet pretty much immediately to become a pilot.
So you made staff NCO in 4 years?
In 4 years, yeah, with a waiver.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I always maxed out my PT test. Fitness has always been huge in my life, like huge. So I knew that if I wanted to, I saw if you pay attention doing any job you have, you know what it takes to be successful. You can play ignorant all you want, but you know what it takes. So I just started paying attention. Here's one person that I look up to. He's an E7. What is he doing right that I can do to get myself to that point? Well, he was doing PT before PT. He was studying to be soldier of the month, soldier of the quarter, all this stuff. So I did all that stuff. And, you know, leaders like that, when you're putting yourself out there, when you're trying to get better, even if you fail, if you're trying to get better, they're the ones that push you to become a really good leader. And that's how I had good leaders in front of me. they took me under the wing, and that's how I got promoted.
It's incredible that you're able to do that. So I'm on the opposite side of that spectrum. I listen, I don't really have a regret per se because like all of these things have made me who I am. But one thing I wish I would have done different was I let shitty leadership bog down my own personal ambition for what I wanted to accomplish, in the sense that I let it become, well, like a screw you then. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, I will be OFP for our audience. That just means on your own program, you know, like I will be that because you don't respect me anyway. You don't even recognize the stuff that I'm grinding to try to achieve. You're not feeding my ambition to try to be one of the best. And so I let that become like, okay, well then outside of when we do a workup or go to war, like I'm always going to be good at what I do and execute my duties. But you know what? If you're not going to promote me or try to help me succeed in this, then I'm going to party hard when I'm not on base. And like, that's normal too, by the way, folks. There's nothing that I'm saying here that's not normal, but I wish I would have mimicked what you're doing, what you did. And that's just, I wish I would have looked forward more to the people that were, because honestly, I was just surrounded by a bunch of guys that were, and I, you know what, and I love and respect these dudes in their own way, but like they had shitty leadership and they were salty, crusty Iraq vets, you know, and for those in our audience that understand what we're talking about, like it will make sense to you that there's just a chip that certain people have on their shoulder when you deploy and you've been in situations that like it wears on you, and then you have to constantly train new guys that don't really care. And so you're literally hard on them to try to get them, you call them your boots, right? You're trying to get your boots to a place where they're going to be successful and hopefully come home to their family when they go overseas or when they lead other Marines later on down the line when you're gone. So I wish I would have done what you did. Man, I was on an accelerated course, but I was the guy that, no bullshit, I had the recruiter tell me, like, get me one guy and I'll meet you with two so that you'll graduate as a PFC. And I got him the one guy and I graduated as a private. Miraculously, I never got that. And then when I went to school, I was the honor grad. I was the honor guy and the class leader. We're meritoriously promoting you to E3. And then the night before, literally had me change my uniforms and everything. This is a true story, no BS. Had me change my uniforms over and everything. Then the night before we graduate, they came to me and say, the colonel changed his mind and he's only promoting one, not two. And this guy has a better PT score than you. So we're going to promote him, you know, like, go change your uniforms back. Do you have any? Like, I'm supposed to leave the next day to go to my duty station. And so that was E3. And then I had a meritorious corporal promotion from E3 to E4. I had that meritoriously, and that was taken from me because that was my fault. But like, that was just my continual story, right? And then I had a second meritorious promotion to corporal where I was supposed to be awarded, and my staff sergeant at the time, because he didn't like my best friend in the military that was my roommate and I lived with him outside of base, and he didn't like him, and he knew he couldn't split us and turn us against each other because he constantly tried to get us to do it and we wouldn't. And so I was actually brought up by the officers of the line companies, believe it or not, right before deployment, because like, hey, promote this kid meritoriously. We need more NCOs. Promote him. He's who we deal with all the time doing the motor pool stuff anyway. Like, he's ready. And my staff sergeant told my sergeant, who was one of my friends, he told him, tell first sergeant he's not ready. And so that was taken from me and given to a calm Marine that was brand new, never had deployed. So that is like literally my experience with like trying to get ahead. If everything would have panned out, I would have been a sergeant 2 years and 3 months, similar to what you accomplished. Like, that's the trajectory I was originally on, but it was just boom, 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 setback, setback, setback. And like, it wears on you.
It does. And I think it's interesting because like, when you're faced with leadership like that, and I call it toxic leadership, I know that word is used so much, but in the military, I think we run into it so much. It is defeating, and it is hard to understand. Okay, like, what is like? You see these people, and I've seen them all the way up to colonel, in high ranking roles, and they've made it this far by being the leaders they are. So you're like, am I supposed to be like that? But for me, like, I had to look at it like, is that the type of leader I want to be? And then, is that the type of person I want to be? Because if that doesn't align, if the type of person you want to be doesn't align with what it takes in your job to get ahead, you might need to look at if you're in the right field, if you're doing the right things. And then if you are in the right field and you know for a fact, this is what I want to do with my life, you have to find the people that are going to help you succeed. You have to find a mentor. I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned in life, even now in the civilian world, is finding a mentor. I work at a tire plant right now, another heavily male-dominated field. I know we talked about it. I hate the term too, but it's just true. There's certain things that men are better at than women. Just saying. I know a lot of people don't agree with me on that, but there are, in my point of view. So I'm at Goodyear Tire and Rubber plant. I am one of two. There's two women business leaders. That's it in the entire plant. It's all males. But we do have some hurdles. We call them opportunities for growth. It's a nice way to say we have areas that we are struggling at and we need to improve on. And there's so much toxic leadership over there. There's so much, and I really hope they don't watch this show, by the way. So it's defeating because they don't highlight anything good, like you were saying, right? How are you going to know the areas that you need to improve on if you don't know what you're doing well and you don't know what you're doing bad? Like if you're not getting feedback and understanding, okay, these are the areas that I need to improve, and all you're hearing all the time is no, like that becomes a problem. And it did for you, right? Because you said it made you get to a point where you were like, well, forget it. I don't even want to do this. I'm not going to respond and be the best soldier I can, soldier for me, for the Army, soldier I can for you because you don't care. You're not helping me. So for me, the only reason I did it was because I knew I was much older than you too. I knew that I wasn't there for anyone else but me and my kids. Well, at that point, my child, Rylan. Yeah. And I didn't have a choice. I had to be successful. And I think that's kind of followed me along for the rest of my path, because even right now, I cannot fail. I cannot, and I refuse.
I will not. That's right.
No, I'm not going to fail. Doesn't matter what happens. I'm going to lose. I'm going to continue losing, but I'm not going to fail.
That's it. So. Yeah, I love that outlook. I'm going to continue losing, but I will not fail. That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. You're goddamn right. You won't. So you made it really quick to E6, which is no, we're good. Which is a staff NCO, and that's incredible and well done. Like, well done. And then not only do you defy those odds, but now you're curious about like, hey, I want to get into rotary, which is the better side of aviation. Let's be real. Sorry, Luke. Sorry, boys. Ben, I know. But let's be real. Helicopters, they defy gravity. They're not supposed to fly, and they do. And anybody cool flies a helicopter. Like, we're way cool. Right. Yes. So you get into that in 4 years and get approved. What was that process like for you?
So the SIFT they had just changed over to the SIFT when I went to go apply. Well, let me back up a little bit. I was at the 82nd cab, so I had made a few connections in the cab. So I got to go ride in a Blackhawk, which I recommend if you're considering putting your packet in, because I was in that helicopter for 6 hours in a helmet with a little weight on the back for the first time, and I was so uncomfortable. It was eye-opening because you don't think about that stuff. Like, I'm not thinking, okay, for 6 hours I'm going to sit here and it's just going to be the best time of my life, which it was. But I did not anticipate the helmet. So go put yourself in the environment that you think you want to be in first, and see if it's a fit. For me, if more than anything, it was a fit. It was perfect. So go fly, make some connections, find the people that you want to be like. Again, the mentor thing, right? So I did that. I fell in love with it again, more than I had before. I took the SIFT. I scored really high on it. And then I put my packet together, which, you go through your medical and everything, got approved. I did not think I was going to get approved, but I did. And then off to Fort Rucker I went. So.
Nice. And then you ended up, what was that process like? You go to flight school essentially. They
Well,
make you go fixed wing and rotary for what you
so
guys do?
for me, I first had to go through walks, which is Warrant Officer Candidate School, um, which is kind of like boot camp all over again, but a little bit amped up. I had other words I want to use, but I'm not going to use those. It's a little bit amped up. You make a lot of really good friends in there. You're there with the walking warrants and your aviation warrants, and then you move on to actual flight school. Flight school begins with your BOLIC essentially, and you learn about all the different things in aviation, which is just like this crash course that you know nothing about, and you're just trying to make it through. You're like, oh, okay, this doesn't make sense yet. And then you're thrown into flight line. You go to SEER first, which is a fun course. I won't say any more about it, but it's a really fun course. And then you go to flight school. So yeah, the flight portion was by far the most eye-opening experience for me, having no aviation experience whatsoever. And then day one of flight line, going out there, meeting my instructor pilot, my stick buddy. His name's Christian Molina. He still flies. Amazing dude. Like, if it weren't for him, I probably wouldn't have made it through flight school. Like, we were so competitive when we were flying, I could not let him beat me in a check ride. Like, it was not happening. I refused, which was really good because it made me do better, and I think it made him do better too. So you're welcome, Christian. But so your first day, like, you're out there and you don't think you're really going to get to fly. Like, you think this is an introductory thing. Mm-mm. You're put on the controls and they're going to try to teach you how to hover. And I was like this, like, I was like, I'm going to die. This is terrible. But it's a steep learning curve at first, but after that, every day was incredible. Some days you thought you might kill everybody in the helicopter. Other days you thought you were a professional. So it was a high and a low kind of thing.
Yeah. And what did they start you out in?
We flew TH-67s, which is just like a single engine Bell helicopter. The one of the funnest aircrafts to fly. It has skids on it. So we would do auto rotations and you actually get to take it to the ground and like come skidding in. Like, it's pretty amazing. And then after that's your initial rotoring training, you go to BWS and you get to fly the 58s, which in my opinion, we should never have gotten rid of because those things are so much fun.
And which ones were the 58s for our audience?
The OH-58, the Kiowa. The Kiowas, we took them out. Yeah, those things. That's what I wanted to fly. That's why I came in. Like, I initially wanted to fly Kiowas. I found out they took those out, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to fly Apaches. That did not happen. So you make it through all of that, and then they do by OML who selects the first aircraft in your course. I got beat out for number one, and there was only one Apache. Everyone in the class knew I wanted Apaches, and this other gentleman took it. I was heartbroken, but it all worked out for the best because Blackhawks are incredible, and the mission set that we flew was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so then you got into Blackhawks. You got your type rating and all that for those. Yeah. What is the number? Is that UH-60? Is that right?
Yeah, 60. I flew they train you in the Alpha and the Lima, and then we went into the Mike and separate training. So
nice. And what is that one? Medical? Is that what Mike is?
No, the UH-60 Mike, it just has, it's more digital. It's not like the old school gauges and stuff, essentially.
Okay.
So they say it can fly itself, but it's so sketch, like, no, that's not happening. And I'm sorry if you hear my kids crying. Sorry about that.
Well, we're good. So you got into flight school. Where'd you end up? Where'd you land after you finished? You went through all your check rides, got your type ratings, all that successfully, competitively, it sounds like as well, which is awesome. And then where'd you end up landing? Let's dive into your military career.
I'm going to transition you a little bit.
Okay.
In flight school, like I said, right before flight school, I got a divorce from my oldest's dad. Went through flight school. I met someone. We started dating, and he had an anger problem. I'll say that, and a drinking problem. And Went through, he was very abusive, essentially from 3 weeks into us dating all the way through me getting out of the Army. I had a check ride. I went to flight line multiple times. I had black eyes, bruises all over my chest, a busted blood vessel in my eye. My IT would be like, hey, what is going on? Are you okay? And I know I'm going to sound like a weak person here, but please just understand, when you're in that type of position, you are not the same person. And it's so weird because I was so successful being a pilot. I was doing so well in flight school, and no one had a clue what was going on when I got away from Fort Rucker. When I went home every night, it was terrible. And that for me took away a part of me, it took away my confidence. And it made me feel like I needed him. He made me feel like if I got away from him, I'm going to fail. So I didn't leave. I stayed. And then I made excuses for him. When people would ask me, hey, why do you have black eyes? I had a Great Dane then. I'm like, my dog jumped up and I went down. I'd make up stupid excuses. And if anyone out there is going through that, understand that that part of it is normal, but you don't have to do that. And I didn't realize that. You don't have to do that part. So I'm going to get back into that in a second, but we graduated and then we got stationed in Hawaii. Hawaii is beautiful. It is incredible. Flying there is, number one, I will never get in the water the same as I used to, because when you have a perspective of up here and you're seeing what's in the water, no. There were sharks everywhere down there. And I was like, oh my gosh.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody tell our buddy Luke to get out of the damn water.
He's crazy.
He telling me they bump you. It ain't that big of a deal. Luke, you shark. No.
I don't want to be bumped by a shark, Luke.
That's what I'm saying.
You can go fight them all you want. You're more high speed than me. I am avoiding it. Just seeing them from above, I was like, oh no, that is never happening again.
So there's more of them than people think?
Closer than people think. A lot closer than you think. So
really?
Yeah.
You're watching people swim and there's sharks underneath of them and they don't even realize it?
There is, on the other side of the island, there's a Marine Corps base, and it has this huge sandbar. But the sharks can still get in there. And you'll see people kind of partying on a sandbar, and then you just see a shark swim by. And you're like, they don't even know that dude's right there. Nope. I'm scarred. That might have caused some PTSD with me. It was but we got to fly amazing missions in support of the infantry guys on our post. I really, really enjoyed it. I served with, I was there, some really incredible pilots. About probably 6 months into me being there, we actually had a Blackhawk crash off of the North Shore. It was Blackhawk. It was 556 was the aircraft number. We lost 5 people, and that just destroyed us all. It was because it was from our sister company. I was in Bravo company. They were from Alpha, and these people were people you engage with every day. I flew with one of them a few times. It was really, really hard. And I think the aviation community right now, and if you've noticed, the situations of crashes are going up. In the last year, I went to school with 3 or 4 people that passed away last year in Blackhawk crashes. And that's indescribable, because when you go through flight school, they say that, right? They're like, look around the room. As you guys progress in your careers, not everyone's going to make it. And you don't think that stuff's true, but it's way more true than I would like, because these were incredible people with families. And, whether it's due to training or it's due to maintenance on the aircraft, the Army really needs to take some time and really evaluate, not even just the Army, because now it's looking like it might be branch wide, what is going on right now with our aircraft? What is going on with our pilots? Because
we've lost 4 in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
That's insane.
But if you go back to the beginning of last year, the number's crazy. They had 2 Blackhawks run into each other. like a mid-air collision, like something is not right. And these are people's lives. We're not numbers. Those were my friends. Those were other people's friends. That was somebody's father. That was somebody's brother, son, whatever. And I don't think they're taking it serious enough, and they need to really, really focus on the safety issues that are happening. Because like I said, the incident that happened in Hawaii, that crushed us and I'll be completely transparent. I was terrified to fly again. Terrified. For them, what happened was it was spatial disorientation. They were flying over the water. It was a starry night, and they got the pilot on the controls got disoriented, transferred the controls, and it ended badly, And one was a very experienced pilot, and one was a newer pilot. So whether it's pilot error or safety or maintenance on the machines, like they need to take a deep dive on what actually is going on. And what I was going to say was, normal pilots in the civilian world have time to completely devote themselves to understanding their jobs fully, studying, learning all the rules. Like it's all flying. And at least for Army aviation, you're a pilot, but you're also in charge of, it could be 2, 3, 4 different sections within your company that you have responsibilities for. So the newer warrant, I won't say what we're called, you're in charge of the fridge, you're in charge of, whether it be MVGs or supply as a warrant officer. Like all aspects that run a company essentially go to the warrant officers to take care of. So you don't have all this extra time to devote to just studying the FAA guidelines, understanding the FAR, understanding the regulations for the Army and what we are allowed to do, like really, unless you are staying up crazy hours, and then that affects how you're flying. So I just think that if the Army wants to make sure that our pilots are completely efficient and they have the time they need to become the best pilots, they should probably be treated like the professionals that they are. And they're not. That's why you see this mass exodus of pilots from the military. They're all going to commercial. The pay is better. The life is better. You're not deploying all the time. In Hawaii, although I didn't get to go with them, I was pregnant, which I'll go into in a second, but they were on trips to the Philippines all the time, but it seems like they were probably gone more than they were back. And the work-life balance for pilots was, at least from what Hawaii showed me, was quite difficult. So yeah.
So sharks, nope.
Hard no for me.
That's a hard pass for me.
Can't go away.
So in all seriousness, though, so we had sharks, we had a beautiful scenery flying around the islands, incredible. It sounds like just breathtaking. And for our audience, if you've ever flown in a helicopter or flown one of my favorite things is bush flying. I love just going and exploring. That's why I like helicopters, because you can just go look at stuff.
Right.
If you want to go check something out, you can. You want to go look at a waterfall, you want to go look at some sort of a terrain feature, or there's just nothing like it. Nothing like it. So,
and if you want to stop midair and look at something, you can hover and look at everything you need to.
Yeah. Flight is just an incredible thing. So you did that, and then you go through tragedy right out of the gate. It sounds like pretty early on in your flight career. Bounce back from that, which is, again, remember the theme of resilience here that we talked about in the beginning. You bounce back from that, and then you're getting ready to have a kid, amongst leading, amongst flying, amongst dealing with all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So that happened, and shortly after, like I said, I was in a very abusive relationship. That was continuing to happen once in Hawaii. I was really hopeful that things would change once we moved, and it didn't. Honestly, it just got worse. We were driving a flight line one time, and if this is too much, just please tell me. But we're driving a flight line one time. I had a Jeep. It's Hawaii, obviously. So you have top off, and we're just flying. We're just driving up to post. We both had flights that day. He was a pilot as well, and he got mad about something. I don't even remember what he got mad about, but he smacked me across my face while I'm driving, and I almost wrecked the Jeep. And it wasn't like this, how you smack a kid's butt. he put every bit of power. And he was 6'4", like he was a big dude. And it like just, I was shook, and I had to go fly, like I had to sit in my Jeep after he went to his unit and really fight through what had just happened and try to get my mind right to be able to go fly, because I wasn't just responsible for me. I had my crew chief in there, I had another pilot in there with me, and I couldn't just wallow in what had just happened, which is terrible on my part because I shouldn't have flown. That was irresponsible for me to do. I shouldn't have gotten in the aircraft. I should have been honest with myself about what was happening in my life. But I wasn't, and I did, and this continued. So I found out I was pregnant probably 2 months after the crash happened. That was with my second daughter. I was abused the whole pregnancy. I did a lot of work in the hangar while everyone still flew. Had her. He had promised every single time it'll never happen again. I would never, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I do this. I just get so mad. I can't control my anger. Right. So it kept happening. I didn't leave. At this point, we have a child together. I'm determined, like, I want to make this work. He beat me all throughout the pregnancy for that one. And then I had her, and probably 2 months after I had her, I found out we're pregnant again. And that was with my son, Declan. This time, same scenario. It's on repeat. I'm getting beat throughout pregnancy. I don't know how I'm going to make it. Like, it's terrible. And then Declan was due in December, and I had him December 9th. I'm trying to condense the story because it's rather long, but I had him on December 9th. He had to go to JRTC, and so he left probably 3 or 4 days after Declan was born. Went to JRTC. I found some information about some relationships he had during our marriage, started questioning him about it. He lied to me about it. He came back from JRTC when Declan was, I think they were there like 3 weeks. And he came back. I went to pick him up. He told me to leave. I came to my house and I kicked him out. And he has not seen them, hasn't talked to them, hasn't provided for them, is not a part of their lives since my son was 5 weeks old and my daughter was 1, which I'm not complaining about. I would, this is all me now, and I think it's for the best. So I requested to get out of the military. I talked to the CW5 that was at my brigade. So I don't have a ton of hours. I wish I did. But I had to make a really, really hard choice really, really quick. I either be incredibly selfish and I go fly and I have my mom or somebody come live with me to take care of my kids, or I do what I'm supposed to do and I raise them the way I want to raise them. And so I got out, and I'm sorry, I'm being attacked by kids under my desk. So this is my house all the time, by the way. So I got out. I called a friend who I deployed with. I hadn't spoken to her since deployment, and she helped me get a job in North Carolina. So I applied to become a government contractor, and I got accepted, and I moved here. And yeah, I've been here ever since, and he's been out of our lives ever since. And I say all that because what I learned in this process was that the military, the way they deal with domestic violence, it's not enough. There's a massive gap there that needs to be fixed. And I had to figure everything out for myself. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because it's not. But I know women and even men are in situations like this, and they're too afraid to ask for help. They're embarrassed. They're afraid they look weak, and you're not weak. It's actually quite the opposite. It takes an incredibly strong person to walk away from someone that you have been essentially brainwashed to believe your life revolves around them. So it takes so much strength to walk away. And I want people, that's the only reason why I talk about it now, because I want the situation that I went through to make a difference. I want it to matter. And I want to help people, men or women, understand like the life after is so much better. It's harder. There's days where it's so hard. Like I've talked about it on my Instagram quite a bit, but I cry more than I don't, because every day as a parent, and you can probably say this too, like, you feel like you're failing all the time. Like there's not really a day where I'm like, man, I am killing this parenting thing. No, I feel like I'm failing more than I'm not. So yeah.
You went through a lot. That's what you were just saying before the bathroom break there. Sorry. You went through a lot, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to experience that. It's not. I don't think anybody should ever have to go through anything like that. And it's just more of a testament to what we talked about earlier about how sometimes life serves you situations, whether you ask for it or not. It's just going to bring it to you how it wants, and it's going to test you and put you through trials. And nobody should ever have to live through what you did. But I think it's a testament to your like how you are as a mom, your character, like that you did get yourself out, because there's a lot of people that can't and they don't, but you did. And it cost you your dream.
It did. And I think that's something I still kind of struggle with. I still feel this pull to go back and fly. And I felt like, honestly, that was the one thing I was truly, truly good at. But when I look back at everything that happened, and I'm big on planning for my life, where I want to be in a year, where I want to be in 5 years, I wouldn't change anything. Even everything I went through, I made the choices I made. And I think that's something that as a society we forget about. Like, you're in control of your life, whether you believe it or not. Like, you can't control the things that happened in your past, but every single step that you take every single day is completely within your control. And I made the choices that I made to be with him, to stay with him. And even after the first time that it happened, I should have walked away and been like, I deserve better, just for me at that point. But I didn't. I didn't put enough value on myself. I didn't see me the way, my mom saw me, or the way my brother saw me. I had these holes, and it sounds, like I said, kind of corny, but I had these holes inside of me that I was looking for someone else to fill, instead of me either finding my faith and getting it filled through God, or filling them myself. And I think it took me way too long to learn that I don't need another person to fill the gaps or the holes in my life. And if I look for someone to fill it, you're going to make bad choices. And you're going to end up in situations to where maybe you're not fulfilled the way you should be. I don't want to say happy, because I truly don't believe that happiness is something that you should strive for, because happiness is just, to me, a hormonal response, right? So it's your hormones going up and being like, oh, I feel great right now. Dopamine's firing. I'm awesome. But as soon as that goes away, you start questioning your choices. Like, if you take away the emotional aspect of your life and really just assess things, data, and analyze, that's when you know if you're on the right path or not. What am I doing today to reach whatever goal I have? And if you don't have goals, make goals. Like, everyone in life should have a goal. It can be small, it can be big, it can be small that lead to big. Like, you have to have that, because, like I just said, I was relying on that person to give me what I kind of grew up with, this idea that you were supposed to have a fairy tale. Yeah. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's no such thing as a fairy tale in relationships, in your life. Nothing's perfect. And I'm trying to change that with the way I raise my kids, because if you buy into that idea that you are entitled to, and I use entitled because our society feels like they're entitled to a happy life, a fairy tale where they're going to make millions and millions of dollars and they're going to have all these great things. Like, that's all great if that's your goal, is to be rich. Okay. But you are never entitled to anything, no matter where you come from. You have to work every single day. And if you don't work hard, it can be stripped away from you. And it will be. I've seen it happen to people that, were super successful in their careers in the military, and behind the scenes are making poor choices. And then all that's gone in an instance. So no one's above the law, like the rules, right? And that's what I try to tell my kids, is like, you have to, number one, understand your emotions, understand your feelings, and then make good choices not based on them. Because if you rely on your emotions to make your choices in life, you are going to fail. because my anger will lead me down a wrong path. The feeling of love sometimes will lead you down a wrong path. I'm testament to that. Because I thought I was in love, it led me down a bad path. You have to be able to analyze the truth behind your emotions and what you're actually feeling. So, yeah, like I was saying, like, I just want anyone, if I can help one person from anything that happened with me, then I want to do it. And that's why I don't mind so much talking about it now, because although I'm not a perfect mom, and like I said, like, this stuff is hard. Raising them by myself is really, really hard, because we go out to the store and they want a dad, right? They'll point at random people in the store and be like, he could be our dad. And I'm just like, okay, that's not how this works. And we're not going to do that. But, like, they don't understand. And I know one day they will. One day they'll see everything I'm doing for them. And I pray that they appreciate it, because this is the hardest job in the world, but it is the most important job that I have in the entire world.
Most important. And I just want to encourage you here that don't take what you're doing for granted. I'm not saying you do as being a mom, but like, don't take what you're doing for granted in the sense of like, give yourself a little bit of credit. You know, it's easy to be your own biggest critic. It is very easy to take all those emotional things and answer all those questions that the kids have by yourself. But there is two people responsible for those answers. It's not all on you. And I love your accountability. Like, I respect it more than anything.
Right.
But give yourself a little bit of a pat on the back, because it takes two. And you're the only one doing anything. And that's what matters.
I think I can see I'm trying really hard. And I do appreciate, like, I think I see it in myself, but I also know that it's never going to be two people telling them what happened. And I don't want that to happen. I get, like, some people let the person back into their lives after time, and Declan and Peyton may search that out eventually on their own. And I can't prevent that, but I want to protect them. And the best way that I can protect them is by making sure that he's not a part of our life right now. Yeah. So, I will answer those questions. I have no problem doing it. And I have no problem being proud of everything that I am doing. But I honestly, on the flip side of that, I think it's good that I'm kind of hard on myself. And I think that's kind of goes into the mentality that people like us have, because I'm not okay with just being an average person. I'm not okay with just being an average parent. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be average. I don't want to be like everyone else in the world. I don't want my kids to be like everyone else in the world. I want them to know what hard work is. I want them to know what having goals is. I want them to know what discipline is, because I don't want them to be soft. And our world is so soft. I refuse. They won't be like that. So
mediocrity is a virus.
Yes.
It is such a virus, and it was downplayed to us. You had said something earlier. It really resonated with me, because I totally agree with you. But you were talking about that monumental doesn't necessarily mean millions. I believe is what you said.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Monumental to each individual's dreams is different. And I don't think any one of them is wrong. But one thing that, like, I'm a critic of, I grew up in the church and stuff. And one thing I'm a critic of is sometimes I feel like from church, it's directed at you like that it's almost bad to be wealthy as well, or to pursue the next level or more things because it's materialistic. And I understand where the idea comes from, but I think we've done and this is not at what your definition of monumental is. I'm just in conversation. I'm just saying, like, I kind of point some fingers at some of our leadership that have been in positions of, like, spiritual leadership, because you told people, don't go after materialistic things, be happy with what's given to you. But you've also created in my opinion, a portion or a class of society that now thinks that they're wrong to want more. And I think that that's a really dangerous line to walk. because I think like this is where I agree with what you said. Monumental is not necessarily millions. Monumental to me is doing this. Monumental to myself would be like, what's the biggest impact? Obviously, I'm with you on my kids. I want my kids to have the very best things they can in life and to go after anything their heart desires. But that being said, I also want monumental to me is like, how big of an impact can I make? Because I'm just getting started. And you
Yeah.
know what? It takes money to make an impact sometimes. Like my dreams can't be funded off of hope.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there is a material asset to that. And I think, yeah, there's a material asset to it. And to me, it's almost it's sad. It's not shameful. It's anything but that. It's just sad to me that so many people will be like, okay, well, this is good enough. Well, no, it's not. You were literally created to do great things.
Yeah.
You are literally capable at the flip of a switch, like your story, what you just told. At any point in time, you can change the narrative.
And I think that's the biggest focus for at least my entire story, and I think for anyone, because you don't even, I'm 41 years old. If I just came into deciding that I'm not okay with my life, I can change it right now. You can change it at 40, you can change it at 50, you can change it at 60. Like there's no time limit on your life to give up. Well, I'm 60, I should probably give up right now. I can't chase my dreams anymore. No, where is that said? Like you're supposed to make the most of your life with every single day, every single second, because it can end like that. And I would rather it end and me be chasing after something like relentlessly pursuing a goal and a dream or a life that I want than to be sitting there being like, well, this is enough,
Stagnant.
Exactly. I don't want that. And I think that the more people start understanding you don't have to do that. Like no one said that you had to give up at, I got married in my 20s. I kind of gave up from there. No, like just because you're married or you have a family, like that's when you should be turning it on. You are now a role model to your children, to your wife, to your husband. Like these are the people you should be doing that for now. People rely on you. That's even more.
Turn that dial up, all the way up, max volume. Let's go.
Yeah, it's time to be the best version of you, not whatever happened in your past. Like forget that crap. Who cares? Today's the day you start, and you don't make excuses for yourself. You don't allow yourself the excuse because it's too easy to make excuses. It's too easy to be like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do my homework tonight. It's 10 o'clock at night. Man, every night I stay up. I go to the gym after work, play with my kids, cook dinner, and I'm up. They go to bed at 8 o'clock. I'm up until 11 or 12 o'clock doing my homework for my MBA. And then I get up at 4 so I can be at work by 6. Like, no one says that it's going to be easy to get where you want to be. And I know the only way I get what I want in my life is by accomplishing this stuff. I have to get my MBA. I want to get my doctorate. I want to go to law school. And I'm probably going to be like 50 years old when I do it. But I don't care.
Oh, wow.
I don't care, right? So yeah, like sorry.
No, I was just saying that's insert the comma and that's okay.
It is. Right? Like I don't, like you said, mediocrity is like something that as a society, like we've just kind of leached onto for some reason. And I will never understand it. I really, truly won't. There's one other thing you said I wanted to say too. You were talking about the church, right? And how they're essentially people shame people.
Yes.
I think it does happen in a lot of churches more than it does on the outside. But if you take away the building, right? They're just people. And even a preacher, right? He's still a person and he's not perfect and he's going to do things wrong too. And some of the times what he says to the people is not right. So I think there's a lot of personal responsibility that comes with anything you do in life, but I think the responsibility lies on us too with faith, right?
Yes.
I can't rely, if I'm relying on my preacher to tell me how to feel and think every single week, then that's a problem. Like you have to find it for yourself. And just speaking for me, and I'm not trying to preach, so please don't think I am, but I found it in the Bible. Like I found so much strength in the Bible and understanding for myself, like what actually happened. What does this mean to me? How do I feel about this? How do I want to carry this on in my life? And for me, it's been the foundation of everything. And because I will be honest, I don't know that I would have made it if I didn't have God, because things would happen and I would just be like, there's no way. Like, this is just a gift. Like, there's no way. I don't think I would have made it. Like this job I have. I had just got my degree. I graduated from Penn State last summer with my bachelor's degree.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And even that, like, I never thought I'd have no one in my family has a bachelor's degree. I'm the only one. And I was like, okay, now I've got to try to find a job. And I kept hitting a wall. And then this incredible job opens and I like throw my application out there thinking there's no way it's going to happen. And I land the job. And I needed it. Like, we were struggling. I needed it to happen. And it just and it just kind of reaffirmed, like, God's looking over me and my family. And all I have to do is just really, really like root myself in it. And things aren't going to be easy. And I'm not going to get everything I pray for. But that's by design. Like, you have to rely on your faith. So for me, that's kind of been huge. I don't necessarily rely on the church to tell me how to be, because I know those people are messing up too. We all are. We're people.
Yeah.
Everyone is.
And I want to say, like, I just think that I just want more to communicate to our audience that, like, you're not wrong to want more. Like, because for a long time, I felt like I was doing something wrong. Like I'm shameful to God because I'm not satisfied. I felt like that for a long time. But to go with what you're saying, I think the biggest thing, like you said, remove the building and we're just people and this and that, and like find this. I think that the biggest key that I've gotten is you have to be the example that you want to see.
Exactly.
Like, that you want to set. So, like, if you think that life should be lived a certain way or that people should execute what they're saying, there comes a personal responsibility to like that. And like you were talking about your day, like your day starts at 4 a.m. and ends at 11 or midnight, because that's what it's going to take. That's the price that you have to pay for the life that you want. That there is a sacrifice, a barrier to entry to get you through those doors. And sacrifice is the cost. You know, there was a rap song and it said hustle, sacrifice paid the price or something. It's a Nipsey song. And it's silly to quote a rapper, but it's the truth in the sense of what he's talking about is like hustle, sacrifice pays the price. Like, it's just such a true sentiment that, like, you are going to have to sacrifice sleep, time. It's going to cost you something. It doesn't matter what it is. What was it? It said, oh man, I don't want to mess this up. A guest I just had on literally just said that education comes at a price. Like, that's the price of it. And it's every loss, every failure, whatever you want to call it, is just a price of education. Like, that is the price, essentially. I don't want to mess up his quote, and it was just so profound to me because that's accurate. And it's like, for me, my day starts at, not to make this about me, but just to back you here. Like, my day starts, my alarm goes off at 2:30 a.m. I'm in the gym every morning from 3 a.m. to 4 or 4:30 a.m. And I get my first workout in, and then I come home, shower, change for work. I'm in between jobs right now. So now I come home, read, help get the kids ready for school, do what I could do. But typically I would come home, shower, change, pack my lunch, head to work, come home, go on a ruck for 45 minutes. If I'm doing 75 hard or something, typically, I get that done. And then it's devoted to things around the house. And, you know, there's things I could do way better to be more help to my wife, I'm sure, like evaluating like what we're talking about here. There's things that I need to just do better, right? I just need to be better. But I do everything I can. And it's like, that is the cost for me, 2:30 a.m. And there's been something about that now to where, like, even though I'm in between jobs right now, I don't have to get up at 2:30 and go to the gym. But this is my barrier to entry now. This is the minimum standard. So it doesn't matter that I'm in between work and I could sleep in until the kids get up and then go to gym after they go to school. And that's for the normal people. That's for everybody else that wants an excuse.
I don't know. I don't know that normal people are going to the gym at all anymore. I'm not being mean. I'm not trying to be mean, but like, like I said, everyone's comfortable. And
Yeah.
and like kind of to go with what you just said, like we all have monsters that we pay if you think about it, right? And it's
Yeah.
kind of weird to call it a monster, but it is. You either like think about it, people that drink, that's their monster, and their price is very different, right? Some people do drugs, and that's their monster. We choose a life that's positive, and we have these positive monsters, but there's a price for every single choice that you make in your life. And you
Yeah.
can either pay it into positivity or you can pay it by choice into these negative aspects of your life. And eventually, hopefully, you get to a point where you realize that negative stuff doesn't help you improve.
Yeah.
Eventually you realize that everything I do is going to cost me. What am I willing to pay? Am I going to pay my life? Because the negative monsters will take your life from you. Or am I going to put my payment towards something that fills my life, that may prolong my life, that makes me a better human being, that makes me have impact? Because you right now, right? This show, people are going to listen to, and they're going to hear that you get up at 2:30 in the morning to go work out. And it might affect one person, but if you affect one person and you can positively impact one person in your lifetime, if we all could, think how crazy that would be in a positive way. If I took one person away from being an alcoholic or one person away from sitting in a violent situation with a significant other, just one, you save one life. That's crazy because they may save one life. And if we continue, it's kind of like that pay it forward thing, right? That movie that came out a long, long time ago. That is
It's
so
true.
incredibly true. It's so true. Hold the door for a stranger one time. Say something sweet to somebody. Give somebody a compliment. Like, it's this little tiny stuff that if you pay attention to, you can change not only your life, but somebody else's life. And to me, that is, you can't beat that. There's no other feeling like that.
No, and to be honest with you, like this is, and this isn't us just tooting our ego, folks. This is just us telling you, like, there's a common denominator. Look at the people that are successful. Like, look at the people above you that have the things you want or a lifestyle that you want, and like take a deep look and look at what it costs them. And I think that I've seen people like Andy Frisella, the owner of First Form. He talks about how he never went on vacation. He does this, but look what he's built. Look how many lives he's changed. You want to talk about filling your cup? That man has literally, he's changed my life. Like, I'll be honest with you. He's changed thousands of other people. Look at what Spence is getting ready to do with Alpha Country. Him and MJ are just getting started. And look what they're already impacting. That man went from being at the tip of the spear, one of the best in the world, fighting bad guys, doing what a lot of men can't do. Let's just call a spade, to rediscovering himself and pouring his purpose into serving other people and helping them feel like they belong in a community and set a standard and raise a tone in society at a create a tribe. And like MJ, she's an officer. I don't know her whole story, but she's an officer. She's in a leadership billet. But then on top of being a leadership billet in the military, she then goes and she's building a tribe of women that execute on their promises to themselves, that execute within and holding a standard and holding a line. And like, that's such a powerful, look at what you're doing. And I love I really appreciate what you said about how it's good that you're hard on yourself. You're right. It is, because that is what keeps your sword sharp, because you're able to look at it. You're able to go shing and hone that edge more and more and more. But look at the example that you're setting. What you're doing with your sacrifices and with what you're doing is you're teaching your kids that this is the barrier to entry. This is where life begins, because that is the truth. It doesn't get easier as we go. It gets harder, and it continues to get harder, and the levels get more complicated, and they change, and the landscape changes, and everything is crazy all the time. However, the more that we learn to embrace suffering for what it is, and to understand that that's not period the end, but bringing this back, I'm going to drive this home, but comma, and the more that we can figure that out as people, it's like, oh, now we're just getting started. Like our stories, what we're talking about, us 2:30 in the morning for me, midnight for you doing homework, 4 a.m. getting up to get ready for work, get your kids ready for your day. Like, there will be a day where you look at this and you go, God, I'm glad I paid out my dues for this, because look at this return. And so people are so short-sighted right now with booze and drugs and things like that. And like, listen, if that's your advice, I'm not here to judge you. I struggled with alcohol a long time. When I got out of the military, I dabbled in drugs, and I'm not proud of that either. But I went through my own things, my own problems. You were talking about identity stuff too, and like I when you were talking about filling holes, that was me. Like I just wanted to feel like I was loved. I lost my mom when I was 18 years old. Right 3 weeks before 3 weeks after I raised my right hand and joined the DEP program to go into the Marine Corps, my mom died unexpectedly. And then I had to walk away from my brother and sister to because I didn't have to. I could have got out of them going. I was in the delayed entry program. There's nothing contractually that makes me go. But my mom raised me to be a man of my word. And so I went. And I had to walk away from my family in a time of turmoil. And that was tough. Yeah. And then go and fight wars. And then I never dealt with any of that shit. And so when I got out of the military, I just wanted to be loved. Nothing I ever did was ever good enough. And you know what? And this is for a message, just to echo everything that you were talking about, especially for the women audience and men, anybody going through stuff. But until you can look in the mirror and you can love that person that you're looking back at you, that you can respect that person, that heartbeat, those gaps, none of it's going to matter. That's the one person you got to respect.
And I think when you're viewing other people too, it's important because at 9 times out of 10, every single person that you meet has had something like that happen. They've had, like to go back in my story, I was raped in college. I was molested as a child. Like they have this stuff that is so heavy and they have holes. But we're holding each other to these unrealistic expectations because we can't fill our own gaps. We can't fill our own voids, so we want someone else to. So we hold them to high expectations when they're just people. The kids too, like we can be so hard on our kids because we expect perfection. You better get straight A's. You better be the top athlete. I need you to do this, clean your room. They're children and they don't understand life. I don't understand life. Like I'm trying, but it's hard. Life is hard for everyone.
It is.
We have different levels of hard and different choices that you can make it harder on your own, but they don't even know how to deal with not getting a cheeseburger for dinner when they want dino nuggets, So how am I going to expect them to deal with all these heavy, heavy life choices, much less even as adults, we don't. So when I go into work, I try to take that for me, like that's one leadership aspect I took away from it was I will never expect you to do something I won't hold myself to the same standard. So Number one, I'm going to know every employee I have, every associate that I deal with. I'm going to know you. I'm not just going to, know that you exist down there on the floor. I'm going to go engage with you and I'm going to know your story because if you don't, they're not going to respect you. And something else you said too about MJ and Spencer and Andy, like tip of the spear stuck out because although Spencer was special forces, like all those people share the exact same mentality. MJ too. If you follow them on Instagram, you see that they're both in the gym. She is an incredible photographer. Like they're killing life right now, but it's not easy for them. And I think Spencer's even talked about that. Like, and so did Andy, like the stuff they're doing, somebody didn't just hand it to them. And I think that's what we want in life, right? We want somebody to be like, oh, here, you won the lottery. Here's $2 billion. Go to do what you want. As great as that is, it's probably not going to happen for the majority of us. So you have to work hard and you have to understand like what it takes to get to, like you said, what it takes to get to where you want. And people don't think they can get there. Or they doubt themselves so much because we do have these holes. And we went through really hard things. Like losing your mother, I'm sure was the hardest thing in the world to deal with. I can't even imagine. She's my best friend. And I don't know what I'll do when she's gone, and we just need to understand that other people go through hard things too. Like that's been my huge thing. Like be kind to each other.
Yes.
People may piss you off, but be kind.
It's funny you brought up like the way you talked about like them that Spencer was special forces and MJ isn't, but she like the mentality. That's something that I'm starting to realize on like within the last 6 months more. It's like dialed on me like you don't necessarily have to have the same accolades as what other people have accomplished to be like-minded, to be a part of a community. I think that's why this logo means so much to me. Like, I have my own brand, to be clear. I mean, like, for the people that are watching, like, this is me. You like
Right.
that, huh? That's sick.
Yeah, I do like
That's that. Yeah, that's that Kong, right? Call sign Kong, or Barbarian. That's the Barbarian. Like, and that logo means something all on its own to me, right? Like, that's that warrior that's been through anything, lived through so much, but it's still here and it's still going to stand for people. It's still going to inspire people. That's what I look at when I see that logo I just showed you. But this tells me that I'm going to execute, and I'm going to hold myself to the standard of these same people from all across the globe that wear this. And I'm going to go harder. And when I want to quit, this is why I'm going to run that extra step. This is why I'm going to finish what I set out to do. So if I get on the treadmill and 2 miles is my number, even though I could justify getting off at a mile, this is why I'm going to go 2 miles, because of this skull and these arrows right here. Because I know that this tribe of people, these people that you belong to, that you belong with, they view me as much of the savage as I view them, because of what I do day in and day out to earn that. And that's where you've been seeing me share a lot lately, that earn your call sign. Right? Like, you have to, every day you have to earn that. And you said this earlier about how you can lose it. You can lose it all. You're right. The minute you take a sword, and you chop wood, that edge gets dulled. And it doesn't matter. You could have the most badass, beautiful, strongest steel, heavy crafted, handcrafted sword of all time ever in existence. But if you don't maintain it, it diminishes.
It does.
And that's like with everything in life.
Absolutely. Like, I call it a shine, right?
Yeah. Don't dim my shine.
There's something about people like you, like Spencer, like MJ, like the people that we look up to and we want to be like. They have this glow about them, this shine. And it's not anything fake. It's because it's so real and it is so authentic that you can't help but want to engage with them. You can't help but want to have people like that in your life. It's like they have a magnet on them when they go in places. They draw people to them. And it's a beautiful thing, because typically those are your positive people. Those are the people that are seeking success and doing everything it takes. They're putting the work in. Because the second you get lazy, the second that you doubt yourself, and I'm not going to say that I don't doubt myself. I do. I doubt every day. I go through something. But my doubt doesn't take over my pride. My doubt doesn't take over my discipline, and the second that you don't see yourself as being capable, that you can achieve your goals, and you just start giving up, quitting becomes a habit. And it's not a habit that you want to have in life. Like, right now, we push that everyone's a winner in sports. I don't know about how you grew up, but when I played sports, everyone was not a winner. And you had to understand how to lose. And there's something that we talk about in business a lot about failing forward. And I think that is one of the most beautiful aspects of life, is being able to fail forward. Or, like I said earlier, I may lose, but I'm always going to win from it. Because, and I know that sounds weird, like no one wants to lose. Yeah, true, no one wants to lose. But losses don't necessarily mean you're a failure. And failing forward, it is a positive thing. Like, you're going to have losses and failures in life, but you have to take from those and pull out every positive aspect. I hate to say this because in the military I used to make fun of it, but hunt the good stuff, right? Like, find the things that you can do better, pull them out, and work your butt off until you've perfected them. And now you add that to your toolkit to be a part of the craft that you want for your life. And I hate seeing people not reach their potential, because there's so many people in this world that they don't even know what they could accomplish. You don't even know who's out there right now that's going to just, like, when they realize what they have inside of them, they could change the entire world. It's out there. I genuinely believe that. And every single person, you have something that could absolutely change the world. And I don't mean the world as in like the world. I mean your world, right? It could
one
change
you impact.
the world, but your world, who you impact, the people you engage with, Like at Goodyear, everybody knows me over there from working out because I
Yeah, you
have a little
compete.
bit of muscle, right? So when they see me, they want to know, hey, what are you doing? Will you make me a workout plan? How much do you charge? I don't charge anything because I want you to succeed. I make workout plans. Now we've developed a wellness program. Like the impact could be just from someone seeing you and be like, man, I want to be like that. I need your help. Will you help me? And that's when I said, be kind, because it's too easy to turn people away from you they're reaching out to you because they see something in you. Maybe you don't even see it in yourself. But if someone sees something in you, I promise you it's there. So be kind to each other, and you don't know, maybe that person's going to help you find your purpose. You never know.
This is why you're a beautiful soul, Michelle. What you just said. That's what it make. I mean, that's a beautiful soul. Like
Yeah.
this is the exact reason I wanted to have you on because like you're not always going to see it in yourself. For a long time, I didn't. I'm telling you. I'm just being honest. Like I didn't. I did not see it in myself. I'm a rape baby.
Yeah.
It's how I was conceived.
Yeah.
You know, and so like I'm the only one that's black in my family, and this is not a victim thing. I don't. This is not. I don't care about any of that shit. It's never been a thing for me. But like, I've never made sense in my life anywhere I belong. My entire existence, I've never made sense to myself until the last 2 years, and that's because I went to work. And for me, it started in the gym, and it started realizing that It was 375 pounds, believe it or not. I don't even know how I got there. I got to 375, and I was going up the stairs in my house, and I was smoked walking up the stairs in this house I just bought for my family and my kids. And I think about how am I going to play with my kids, man? I can't even go up the stairs anymore. What the hell happened to me? I was 6'2" and 240 at 13% body fat at one point in time when I was in the Marine Corps. What has happened to me?
Yeah.
And you know what? That was the first time in my adult life. I guess that was the first time probably in my entire life that I stood to really fight. And what started as walking on the treadmill became a journey where I've lost 110 pounds now. And now I have, yeah,
Awesome.
let's go. Yeah. But I put on muscle mass and like I'm 270 ish pounds right now, 272 or so, but I'm 272 at a leanness and a mass like I've never been. I have the muscle index like, yeah, I'm doing it. And
Yeah.
because of that, it's created curiosity, that confidence, which
Yeah.
has then now created curiosity. And this is something I think is really important for people to understand is as somebody once asked me, and I want to touch on this because you just said, like you going to the gym has impacted people. But somebody asked me recently that they've seen me going through all these things. And they said, man, did it start physically for you? Is that because that's where it seems like all your mental changes come from is when the physical game changed for you. And I thought about that. And I said, yes, because what happens is everything to me is rooted around your physical. Because once you start to change your physical or work on your physical, it creates a confidence. And that's not what it becomes, but that becomes the platform that then creates curiosity. The curiosity is where change comes from. Curiosity is what makes you touch the stove to see if it's still hot. Curiosity is what makes you try the thing that makes you great. Curiosity is what makes you push the boundary and unseal and become uncagey. That barbarian, for the sake of the conversation, that unruliness, that comes from curiosity and unsatisfaction. But that's all created by confidence, because when you become confident, you become curious. And when you become curious, you change. And that's the most freeing thing that I have discovered in my journey so far. And I'm just getting started. And it's because of people like you. It's because of people. No. Hey, hear me out here. It's because of people like you and your stories and people like Spence and MJ and Luke. And I mean, the list could go on and on. Drew Jacobs, a guy that we had on the show. Will Rollins, this guest that just released yesterday, where he Silver Star, Bronze Star, Navy and Marine Corps Accommodation Medal, and Purple Heart, all in the same deployment. Like these, yeah. these humans are out there and they exist in the world no different than you or I. And because I get to look to people like you as example and share your stories, that's why when you see me from here on out, you're going to notice now, because I've said something, I guarantee it, you're going to be like, it's 3 a.m. and that dude's already working.
Oh, I know. It's going to make me get out of bed earlier, though.
No, but it's because of that. Like, it's because of that I get to take this pride. And when I'm jogging on the treadmill, just dog ass tired, not wanting to be there, but I'm jogging and I'm thinking about quitting and I'm looking at the reflection as it comes in and out of the window because the way my gym's set up, when I'm looking at that, that's where I start to see that. And that's where like Barbarian flashes across my eyes because that's earning that call sign. That's paying those dues. And because of it's Saturday and I don't want to take much more of your time, I want to transition into some questions. But before we do that, do you want to share about bodybuilding and what that's done for you?
So it's completely changed everything, just to be honest. I was kind of like you, honestly. As a kid, I was a bigger kid in middle school. I found working out at 13 through bodybuilding magazines. It was Oxygen magazine and Muscle and Fitness for Hers. And I saw these women that like just blew my mind. I was like, I want to look like that. I was a big girl. So like I started doing push-ups and sit-ups in my room every single night. And then I added in wall sits. I didn't have a gym. I had a jump rope. And I lost like 60 pounds from my 8th grade year to 9th grade year. And then I found sports and it did something for me. And I played volleyball. So fast forward, military, obviously you have to be fit, lifted every day. I come out of the military, come here, and it took one person in my gym saying, hey, you should go try bodybuilding. And I think number one, it gave me more confidence, but it made me realize that you're capable of anything. Because the way the discipline that it took was no different in bodybuilding than anything else I'd done in life. And although it wasn't the easiest, and there's times where you're like, man, I just want a piece of cheesecake. Like, yeah. I knew what the end goal was. And it's still there for me. Like, I won my first show. It was absolutely incredible. I know I made my family proud, my kids proud. You know, I was going to be done. I thought I was just going to do one show and that was going to be it. But my 16-year-old was like, Mom, go get your pro card. Like, you need to chase this. This is huge. And I'm so proud of you. Man, when your kid tells you something makes them proud, it just does something. It's a whole nother level. So now I'm like determined. I want to get my pro card. So bodybuilding, although people are like, oh, it's just for a look. It's here. There's something. It shifts everything. And it has its downsides. Don't get me wrong. Like, body dysmorphia is crazy after doing a show. That's all I want to say. Because you go from being super, super lean to a little bit of fluff and you're like, ooh. So, but it's definitely changed everything for me. I love it. I think it's absolutely incredible. And now when I go places, people always seem to engage with me and ask me questions. So if that's what I get to be in life and people will ask me about eating healthy and working out and what impact that's made in my life, and I'll talk to you all day long about it, because being healthy is the most important thing you can do for yourself. Taking care of yourself, for your family, for your kids, in general, just for you. It'll change how you look at life. It'll change how you think, and it'll absolutely change how you look. And it's changed everything. So
that's what I'm saying. And it created curiosity, right?
It sure did. It sure did.
I'm telling you, I'm on to something with this train of thought.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's give the people some questions. Let's feed them. Let's give them some stuff to work with here. So I got to ask you the pinnacle question of the show, you know. And the more we go with this show, the more it's going to transition away from blue collar barbarians into barbarians, because like I'm kind of, as you talk about finding your purpose, I'm realizing like I just want to serve a mindset versus, and I tried to niche, and I like niching, but I don't want to limit either. I want to help. So that's where
your impact. You have a bigger impact.
That's it. Throw a bigger net. So, but what is a blue collar barbarian to you?
I like this. So to me, a blue collar barbarian is someone that you may not have the most glamorous life right now, but you are chasing every single day to be better And just because and glamorous, I'm not saying you want all the fancy things in life, but it's what I said earlier, right? Monumental means different to other people. Blue collar barbarians chase after their dreams. They're not going to make excuses for themselves. They're going to hold themselves accountable. They're going to do an internal assessment, and they're going to keep growing. Stagnation doesn't belong in that definition of those people. And I think this type of thinking, being a blue collar barbarian, is way more common than we think. We just got to pull it out of people. We got to help them see it, and I think that's your purpose. I think you're going to help so many people by making them realize, and maybe through the stories of these other people that are way more impressive than me, by the way. But when they hear those stories, hear what otherwise normal people do on a daily basis, they're like, why couldn't I do that? Why couldn't I get out and just go for a run or go for a walk? And then that's a spark. That's all it takes. Sometimes it just takes a spark in someone. So that's what I think it is. So you're the spark.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see it, and I'm trying to be more receptive of it. And I'm getting there, I think, but it's hard. You know better than anybody. It's hard, but so I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So how can someone stand out in the aviation world?
Work hard. Number one, work hard, obviously. So you're going to have to study a lot. And then I think by far the biggest thing is to take constructive criticism. When someone is trying to help you, do not think you're too good no matter what level you are, no matter if you're a warrant, if you're, a regular O grade, it doesn't matter. Listen to the people, like I said, that you want to be like. There are so many aviators out there that are absolutely incredible that will not boast. They won't be tooting their own horn. But if you sit back, whenever I go into a new field, right, whenever I started this job, I take about 30 days to just assess people. And I keep my mouth shut and I just look and I watch. And if you do that, you find the people that you want to be like, the like-minded thing, right? You start identifying who your people are. And if you don't do that, and if you rush in too quick, you end up engaging with people that they're not your people. Because there's people out there like that. You're gonna have groups that you're like, all right, you're not a bad person, but you're just not my people. And I think as an aviator, it's really important to find the aviator or aviators that emulate what you want and be willing to take the criticism for them because they're going to make you better. It may not be comfortable, but they're going to make you better.
Hell yeah. Moving right along. I love that answer. Nothing I can add to that. Moving right along. Favorite aircraft you've flown?
Probably it depends. Probably the 58, the Kiowa. It was so fun. We got low to the trees, and unfortunately that was in flight school. And I wish I'd flown something cooler since. The Blackhawk's amazing. It's an amazing aircraft, but I wanted to fly some form of an attack helicopter so bad. So when I got in that thing, I was in love. It was amazing. But yeah, I had a lot of fun in that aircraft.
My cousin Roland, I don't know if you know him. He was a chief warrant officer too. Redfield.
Mm-mm.
He was a Kiowa pilot until they retired the aircraft, and then he flew surveillance or something.
Did they put him in the Apache? I know they
no.
Him over to the Apaches.
He didn't go to the Apache. I thought he was going to, but he ended up going to some other special detail or something. But yeah, he flew Kiowas for years.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
So,
Jealous.
It sounded like it was fun. My next question: I'm going to roll these next questions into two of them into one. Here is, how could someone get started into bodybuilding if they wanted to get into competition lifting or competitive lifting or not in the powerlifting sense, but in shows, I guess. I'm new to that world, so I don't fully understand it. And what does a typical day of training look like for something like that?
The first recommendation I would have is find a good coach. And that is, I can't stress it enough because I've had some poor coaching in the past. You have to find a coach that is going to show you the right way to do things because there are plenty of people out there that'll push unnecessary things on you, unnecessary training on you, and you're going to hurt yourself in the long run. So if you truly want to get into bodybuilding, no matter what phase of life you're in right now, if you're going from couch potato to bodybuilding, you can accomplish it. It's absolutely possible. but you have to find a good coach. And if you need a good coach, tell me, because I got you. I got some people. They're pretty amazing. So, but for me, right now is my off season, so I don't do fasted cardio currently. So I wake up at 4. I make my first meal at about 5:30, and it's not very big, just to be honest. So I go to work at 6. I eat 2 more times there. Get off work. I eat a pre-workout meal. Head to the gym. I'm there normally 2 hours. I have 20 minutes of cardio. Then I get my last meal of the day, and that's about it. Training varies, right? I'm switching from physique to wellness, so I have to lose my upper body and grow my legs. So I have quite a few leg days a week, which is rough, but it's a phenomenal process. It's fun. So yeah, that's typically how it is for me right now.
2 hours a day in the gym, huh?
Well, when I actually start prep, I'll have fasted cardio in the morning, which can range from anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour. And then you'll go through and eat your meals during the day, drinking, gallon and a half of water every day. That's standard. And then I'll be back in the gym for 2 hours and then have another hour of cardio. So you definitely have to be willing to commit to it, because it requires a lot. Some people don't have to do as much cardio. Like I said, I got some fluff. So cardio is always going to be a part of my life.
Yeah,
so,
and it sucks.
It does. Man, I don't know how I made it running in the military now. I'm like, how do I do that? I'm not a fan.
I think the same thing. Like I hate every part of running. Everything that has to do with running. Here's a good one for you. Does balance exist?
And, I wish I knew that answer, to be honest, because for me, every day is a struggle, if we're going to be honest. Like, I know I'm doing a lot of things and I'm trying to find that, but you have to choose to make it. It can. Yeah. I had this discussion yesterday with a coworker, and she's been working at the plant that I work at for 20 some years. And she literally has sold her soul to that plant. She practically lives there. And I refuse. I'm like, well, after my last meeting of the day at 4:00, I'm going home. And that's kind of foreign to her, because she has dedicated so much of her life to that plant. She has nothing else. So when she leaves there, it's almost like an empty feeling. And I think that's why I have so much going on, because I want more than just a job. I want more than to just, because that company, when I die, they don't care. The people that care are in this house, and I want to be here for them. And like I said, I wouldn't have even chased bodybuilding anymore if it wasn't for my kids. But finding a balance, I think you can't find anything. You have to choose it. You have to choose balance. You have to make it for yourself. Whether that means you don't work out on a Saturday and you take your kids all day, like, you have to choose it. Yeah.
And I think that that's something that's going to look different for everybody.
Absolutely.
I don't think there is a rinse, wash, repeat.
No, it's definitely not one size fits all. It's definitely, it is hard. I will say that.
Last couple questions for you here, and I appreciate your time today greatly.
Oh, yeah.
This one's deep, but I think because you want to share, what is the biggest lesson you've learned from hard times?
There's a reason behind them. You're not going to go through anything in life that doesn't have a purpose. You may not see the purpose when you're in it, but when you get away from it and you start looking back, you realize, okay, I learned so much from the bad stuff that has happened in my life. Like, I'm going to try not to get emotional, but I would not be me right now if I didn't get hit. If I didn't have all that crap happen when I was younger, I wouldn't be me. And I actually like me right now. I like that I am. It's made me be kinder to people, and I think that's something that the biggest thing that I've learned is, it's not, when something bad happens to you or hard times happen, and you've said it like 4 times in here, it's not the end. There's a purpose behind it, and there's a next chapter. You get to make a new one. When something ends, something else is going to begin. So you don't have to go through hard times and be like, oh my gosh, this is never going to get better. You make it better. And it might mean like having a terrible day and just choosing to smile about it. And that happens at work all the time. It's like that place catches on fire and I'm just smiling. And they're like, what are you smiling about? And being like, why not? Like, I'm still alive. I still have more chances. I still have more opportunities. Like, this isn't the end. So hard times don't necessarily, you don't have to look at them like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You just have to sit down, analyze it, problem solve, take a step. One step. One step leads to more steps.
Yes.
That's it.
And lastly, beautifully said, by the way. I
Thank
love
you.
that answer. I wanted to hear what you had to say about that. Lastly, for our friends at Alpha Country, what is an alpha mentality to you?
I think this is kind of easy, mainly
Yeah.
because I follow them on Instagram, right? And I've spoken with them quite a few times. They're incredible people, by the way.
Yeah.
If you talk to Spencer, if you send him a message or MJ, they respond. And I don't know very many companies that you could reach out to the owner and they actually send a response. So that's huge. And that's the mentality to me, is somebody that essentially is the same as your show. Like, you're not giving up, you're working hard. It might be behind the scenes and nobody knows what you're doing. Nobody knows that you get up at 2:30 in the morning, probably except for your family and now the show. But they wouldn't know that by looking at you, right? They wouldn't know what you're doing behind the scenes to make your life better. But that is not why you're doing it. You're not doing it for other people to know. You're not doing it for people to give you 1 million followers on Instagram or like all these people to celebrate your win. You're doing it because it's who you are. You're doing it because it's a choice you made. And I think that's beautiful. I think that is the most beautiful part of the mentality that we kind of all share is, number one, we're the same in something. And I like that. I like having a group of, like he says, of like-minded people. Like, I love that community aspect of it, because you're not just becoming a community of people that aren't doing something. You are a community of doers. You're a community of no BSers, right? Like, no excuses. I'm going to get this done somehow, some way. And I think that is alpha mentality. Like, put an obstacle in front of me. I'm going to figure it out. It may take time, and I don't know when, but I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. And like you, I do my best work in the shadows.
Absolutely. I don't need other people celebrating me. I don't.
Not,
And I
not
honestly don't know
anymore.
what I'm gonna do. I don't even think I would want it. Like, I feel weird when people compliment me. I'm just like, oh, like, thanks, but I don't know what to do with that right now. I just like working hard. I like the self-satisfaction from that, and
That
I think
that's why I have a hard time like with people like I'm no coach by no means, but people will be like, "Hey, you should coach people or something," and I'm
yeah,
like, I'm not the one that's going to talk to you about like nutrition and
yeah,
like I'm not like a coddler for the infant stage. Like I'm the dude that when you're in the mud face down and you barely can pick up your head, I'm right there with you, like
yeah,
grabbing you by the hand, like let's go, like a muddy battle scorn. Like I don't like you said, I compliment me, I appreciate it, but I don't know what to do with it because all I know what to do is to work, and I'm sure that would progress. But like all I know is that like I'm just here to work next to you and celebrate with you when we crush these things and as we raise the standard and fix the culture. Like that's what I'm here to do. So yeah, beautifully stated on that. Man, I really appreciate your story and your
yeah.
time and everything you've been through. This is the part where we're at closing thoughts. And one thing I like to do in the closing thoughts is I like to ask our guests for either a book recommendation that spoke to them and or a quote that has spoke to their life to help leave our audience with something to sharpen their mental sword. Do you have a quote or a book you would?
I currently am reading Jordan Peterson, The 12 Rules for Life. If I can recommend anything, it would be that book. He has a lot to say about mentality and outlook, and it's having a profound effect on me through that book. And also, there's a book called Make Your Bed. Everyone's probably seen the speech of I think he's a colonel, Navy colonel, but he actually wrote a book, and the book is actually it's really, really interesting. I read a
Admiral
ton of
McRaven.
books. Huh? Yeah, I actually read a ton of books about mentality and essentially just pursuit, right, of something.
Yeah.
And it's pretty incredible. The stuff we're talking about, it's not segregated to a small group of people. There's a very, very large group of people that are trying to get this stuff pushed out to society to help them become better. And
Yeah.
And I will say this to you. I don't have a quote, but don't stop being a light. The world can be very, very dark, and you're being a light for people right now. And I think that is massive, and it's underplayed. Like when you can bring such positive engagements with people on a podcast or in real life, you're changing people. And I think every day we need that. Our world needs that. So yeah, just continue to be a light. I think it's amazing. You're doing great things. I've listened to your podcast. It's incredible. The people you have are impressive. You're impressive. Don't look to other people either too, to just think they're impressive. You're killing it. Look how much weight you lost. That's massive. So I'm celebrating you today. I think that's awesome.
I really appreciate that. You have no idea. It means more.
Sorry for the compliments.
No, it means more than you'll ever know, though.
Yeah.
Like it does. I appreciate it.
Yep.
I wish I could do more with it for you. I'm just going to keep working because that's what I know how to do with that. Is just keep working. Where can people follow along? If somebody wanted to reach out, somebody's going through it. I'm not saying they will, but let's just.
I'm on Instagram, mountain_muscle. I think it's Mama. I don't even know my name on there, but I'm on there. You can find me on there anytime, and I will gladly help or talk to anyone. So.
Or you guys can reach out to me at the Barbarians podcast. You guys know your boy Jay Matt here. Reach out to me, and I will connect you with Michelle. She's be an incredible resource to anybody going through it. Michelle, I've had you for an hour and 50 minutes. Thank you so much for your time. For our audience, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening, and help us share this story and help impact people's lives. It's so important that we change the culture today in society, and we show people to never be a victim and never let that be period the end, but comma and then. And I just want to thank everybody for listening. Give Michelle a follow, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.